Like you'll get some stuff and you're like, oh my God, this is incredibly insightful. And I can't believe how quick. And then you're like, what the hell was that? Hey there, and welcome to a brand new episode of Delivering Marketing Joy. I am your host, Kirby Hausman. Joining me today is a brand new rock star. He's a former Wall Street VP, but he now leads the AI revolution as a managing partner of Comexis, which is also an AI consulting and product development firm. Len Ward, thanks so much for joining me, man.
Kirby, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So I want to dive in on this because, you started on Wall Street during the dot-com boom. So, you and I have both been around a little while. And so now you're moved into marketing and AI. So what lessons from those transitions shape how you look at the business and technology today?
I think the number one thing I pull from the lessons I had back in the late 90s to now is because you had obviously the advent of the internet bubble and so forth. And I think the number one thing is people, there's like an over exuberance and people like really liking like the internet. Everybody was all in and they loved it. But then they were kind of making the decisions they were making in investments and so forth is what led to the dot-com bubble. Valuations were going out the window. You weren't paying attention to things and so forth. And then the other people really were dragging their feet. They didn't quite know if this was for them. They weren't really buying the internet thing. And believe it or not, years ago, I told people, if you would have told somebody they're buying something on their phone in 1999, they would have laughed at you.
Yeah.
I'm seeing the same stuff now. I am definitely seeing a bit of an over exuberance in certain types of AI that just by on the surface, you could look at it and saying that's not a sustainable product. But I am seeing a lot of companies dragging their feet. And where the similarities go away is that the internet, you had a runway of about 20, 25 years. I say this to a lot of people. It wasn't really until COVID that every business finally pushed all into digital. You may think that's funny, but it's true where certain companies didn't have websites or they didn't really know how to, talk with their consumers and so forth. They just thought they would call them. That's going to be much quicker now. And that's the fear I have with some of these businesses. What would took, say, 15, 20, 25 years to fully ramp up digitally, AI, it's here, it's now. If you're not doing some sort of plan right now to implement it, you're going to find yourself really in a world of hurt by the end of 2026.
Yeah, no, that is fascinating. Those of us who do not learn from history are doomed to repeat it. But I love those analogies that you draw because I totally, I lived through them too. So that's really interesting. I've also seen that you've said that we're shifting from search and retrieve to solve my problem. So what does that mean for marketers and small businesses right now?
So fundamentally, I would say, probably since the dawn of the internet and when internet marketing was really ramping up, and we'll say maybe 2007, 2008 is when it really, really started hitting its stride. You were told to create content, create material. People would search for your material because they knew they had a problem. And then Google, Yahoo, Bing, whatever one you were using would retrieve that material. So an individual, a consumer would actually look at it and they'd go through all the blue links, the 40 blue links and say, okay, I'm going to read these blogs, maybe watch this video or look all through your website. And you're going to help me solve, my problem by search and retrieve. Now we're moving over to solve my problem. The span, that attention span that a human being has is those days are gone. So you have to think about somebody on TikTok, somebody on X, Twitter, and so forth, where you need to be ready to solve somebody's problem the minute they arrive at your website or whatever digital platform it may be. And so it's a huge fundamental shift in how you do marketing and how you interact with your consumer and so forth. Because what a lot of people aren't telling you is the next step of marketing and AI is agent to agent, which means you're going to have a personal agent that's going to know everything about you. Companies are going to have agents that are going to be able to interact with those agents. And those agents are going to expect for you to solve that problem immediately if you want them to recommend, your business to their person that they're using or that they're working with at an agent. I know it kind of gets a little wonky and complicated, but that's a huge, massive shift in marketing when you think about it. It's a whole different way in which you create content, video, and so forth. Now, every single thing you do, tip of the spear should be, am I solving the user's problem? Am I solving my customer's problem and so forth, opposed to here's a bunch of material, read through it and let me know what you think.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And that's a big shift. That's a big shift that I am not seeing a lot of people make. So, You work with both marketers and executives. I know that.
Mhm.
What separates the leaders who are successfully adapting to AI and those who aren't?
I think the ones embracing it, dedicating actual finances and resources to it. The ones that are identifying somebody internally, which I prefer to be the CEO or business owner, to be honest with you. We highly advocate that they become the smartest person on AI in the building. But the ones that are embracing it and the ones that are truly saying, okay, we're going to dedicate money towards it. And the ones that are saying, before we just go test out a product that's going to write a blog quicker or develop a strategy quicker, we're going to have a blueprint. We're going to identify all the bottlenecks that we think AI can solve, whether that's customer service, marketing, sales, standard operating procedures, and so forth, and saying, how can we start identifying how AI can start running the business or running within the business from the ground up? They're the ones that are succeeding. The ones that are failing are the ones that are just kind of throwing dartboarding it, and they're just grabbing a product here, grabbing a product there, and it's just doing a task faster, opposed to truly saying from the ground up, we have to build AI and it has to be in our DNA going all the way up.
Okay. Yeah, man, you got my head spinning here, Len.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. And because again, I think the part of the thing is those of us who are not putting our head in the sand. I feel like that is the challenge. Is like I'm leaning in. I'm trying to learn everything I can. We're trying things. Hopefully, we're adopting some things. But the idea of I'm probably like that in the sense that I'm like dartboarding a bit. Right? It's like, oh, I heard about this tool. That's pretty cool. I heard about this tool. Maybe that can solve our problem. But I don't know that I've done a good job of like looking at it from 10,000 feet and just going, okay, how can we implement it in all those places? So I guess that leads me to my final question, which is like somebody like me, how can a small or mid-sized company or a business compete with big brands in this, this new AI powered landscape? I mean, obviously, while we might throw some resources, we don't have, the big brand resources.
So I think the quickest way small businesses, well, it's a two-part answer I'll give you.
Okay. Okay.
You can compete with the larger companies, and I actually think I read a while ago, and I it might have been one of the AI books I read, which there's a million out there. There's a book called, I think it's AI First. It was two marketing gentlemen. They have a podcast, and they were writing the book in real time. And unfortunately, I can't remember who they are, and I wish I did. Brilliant guys. But one of the lines in the book, which I thought was great, was a lot of large businesses are looking at their competitors who are equal footing of them as an AI race. When the reality of it is that you're going to have a one or two person shop that's going to completely come out of left field, and because of AI and because of the speed, they're going to upend you, and that is going to be your competitor. The only way around them to beat these smaller type ninja type businesses are going to hit you is you have to be truly understand AI and how they potentially could leverage it. So that's number one. I think you really have to pay attention to that, so the small businesses can. The way you do it is make sure you have all of your data organized. However old your company is, make sure all of your SOPs, all of your marketing, your consumer data, anything you have that's sitting in your CRM, in your computer, put that in a Dropbox, put that in a Google Drive, and make sure it's labeled and organized properly. And here's the reason why. 26, you're going to start seeing the advent of being able to hook up all of your data to Anthropic, ChatGPT, Gemini. That's already happening now. Even products that are being built on top of that, they need your information to crawl, help make decisions, help give you the right strategy, and so forth. So if a smaller business is organizing their AI strategy that way, and they're prepared and they understand that their content is what fuels this thing, they're going to be the ones that are going to start outpacing the larger businesses. They're going to make faster marketing decisions. They're going to know where to allocate their money quicker on marketing. They're going to know who their ICP is. They're going to know the TAM. And in other words, it would take a company dozens and dozens of people to sit in a room and come up with reports and try to develop a strategy for the quarter. Now those one or two person shops, or say 10 or 15 people shops, they're going to be able to implement things immediately because they're going to have all that information back to them right away. So the moral of the story, speed is your moat. So that is what you have to really focus on right now. Don't be afraid to break things. Understand things are going to get a little wonky. But my final piece of advice, no matter what goes out to your universe and whatever business you're in, make sure you're putting a set of human eyes on it and don't just let AI throw something out there. And then I think you'll be in a good spot for
That's a great piece of advice. Every once in a while, it is fascinating, isn't it? Like you'll get some stuff and you're like, oh my God, this is incredibly insightful. And I can't believe how quick. And then you're like, what the hell was that? Like,
Yeah, the last line of a blog or a strategy, you're like, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And that's where people pick up. We find it. They cut paste the entire thing from ChatGPT, And what they don't forget is ChatGPT typically asks you a question at the very end, and they normally put that in their blog or on a proposal or something like that. Really make sure you have human eyes on that before you put it out.
Len, this has been really, really good. You had my wheels turning for sure. Where can people find more information about you?
People can just come to Comexus.com. They can fill out a contact form. You will talk to me personally. I do have a very talented team that works with me, but I do work with all of my clients one-on-one. And if you ever have any questions or anything along those lines, you can find me on social media or just hit me on the contact form. I'd be more than happy to answer.
Awesome. Len Ward, thank you so much. This has been really fun. We'll have to do it again sometime, okay?
Appreciate it. Thank you, Kirby.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap up this edition of Delivering Marketing Joy. We'll see you next time.